The summer heats me up and swallows my soul. The winter still on.
Hey everyone, I'm Human Garbage and this is Reviewtion. Today, I'm going to be talking about an album that has kept me warm on a lot of cold nights in the past few months. Pseudocide by John Parker Jr., which is the stage name of a little guy named Matthew Castillo. The summer eats me up and swallows my soul. The winter's still lonesome and cold. Sets the tone for the bleakness that follows in the rest of the album. However, the lyrical darkness is balanced throughout by upbeat instrumentals that could easily accompany feel-good indie folk songs. Matthew's voice is deep, but there's also an unrestrained soothing quality to it. On Scandinavia, as well as on the other songs on this album, the themes revolve around love and loss. Sure, it's a topic that's been covered millions of times, but with each new perspective comes a new understanding. In this song, Matthew shows off his ability to write incredibly catchy hooks, which I'm happy to report is a trend that continues throughout the rest of the album. The chorus goes, "Somewhere in Scandinavia, I'm sure," referring to a lover that has moved on and fled to another presumably cold place, like Scandinavia. The narrative talks about trying to move on past this person, and at one point, he even throws a little bit of shade to his past lover. Sometimes I think it's better to forget like you forget. Either way, this is a song about someone fleeing from their relationship with him. Ironically, Matthew talks a lot about running away from his own problems on this album, so it's interesting that this opening song deals with him in pain about being on the other side of someone going away. Now, before I talk about the next song, I should say that I'm a big fan of the transition he does between Scandinavia and Backseat. For somebody only half listening, they might not even realize these are two different songs. This was the moment when I first listened to Pseudocide that I realized the instrumentation he used on the first track would continue on through the rest of the album. All you'll hear are a guitar, a bass, a drum machine, and his vocals. At first, I thought this might prove to be a limitation on the album with repeated listens, but if anything, it's only made my heart grow fonder for the songs gathered here. It allows the amazing lyrics to be emphasized, while also highlighting just how good the songwriting here is, without the need for flashy ornamentation. It also lends a great sense of intimacy to the recordings. These are obviously songs that were lovingly crafted in a bedroom, and the final result is that with such an emphasis on lyrics, it comes off more as listening to someone's diary as opposed to an album, which I mean in the best way possible. Backseat opens with a catchy little acoustic guitar riff that stops when the vocals come in. A great deal of this song lyrically expounds on what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who struggles with depression and anxiety. You never leave the house unless you're full of medication. Even then you don't go out. It's a heavy sentiment that describes all too well how crippling mental disease can be. He contrasts her self-doubting mental state with how he sees her. "Baby, you're too beautiful." Later on, he also pleads, "Lady, won't you let me love you?" Which happens to be some lovely little alliteration. Beyond that though, it's an illustration that her mental struggles are a barrier to her forming relationships. She might not want to be in a relationship with him, or pushes him away, because she doesn't want her own disease to also hurt him. "And on the coldest winter days, I'll be up early at your door so I can shovel you out," is a powerful metaphor that puts on full display how awful depression can feel. Like you're buried in an unbelievable amount of cold snow to the point where it feels impossible to get out. Plus, it shows what it can feel like to the person you're in a relationship with. Like it's their job to shovel you out, which can wear them down too. Backseat is one of the tracks that hits home for me, so it's definitely a highlight. On the title track, the opening guitar strumming is a little out of tune, which in my opinion adds even more character to it. It truly feels like this was recorded on a lonely winter night where everything was a little out of tune for him. This song digs into feelings of repetition and dissatisfaction with a tedious life, one where he's repeating the same actions day in and day out, because all you do is go to work and watch TV, and wonder why I come home and go right to sleep. Matthew says in the essay he wrote about the album on his Bandcamp page that he's always been prone to wanderlust, but only recently acknowledged it as a big force in his life. Pseudocide is fittingly the thesis statement of the album that all the other problems he talks about on the record evolve around. He talks about his reasons for wanting to get out of the Northeast and move down south. "I want to go way down where it's nothing but the truth." Coincidentally, he wasn't just all talk, and he actually lives in North Carolina now. Toward the end of the track, he asks, Is someone gonna miss me when I go? 'Cause nothing tells me so. In the context of the song, he's talking about leaving Connecticut, but it's fielded as a bigger question we all sometimes ask ourselves about how people would react if we died. It's so cool to me how he weaves this in with the story, but it so clearly comes across with the double meaning. Good stuff. Matthew does something incredibly clever with the title of the next song. Talking is fittingly a track that consists of an almost stream of consciousness rambling, as if the thoughts he's singing are haunting his head and he needs to get them out into the world. One of my favorite lines of his is in this song. I know it could be worse, but I can't stand it. Depression is a hard beast to explain to people who haven't had to struggle with it. A lot of times when you let someone know how you feel, they might try to say, but think of all the great things in your life. It's a kind sentiment, and it's true that they're only trying to help, but that's one of the hardest parts about it. Depression makes you feel shitty, even if from a removed standpoint you have an amazing life. And the guilt that comes from knowing that and still having it consume you can make it even worse. It's a poignant observation he makes buried in a song that I might play for someone if they ask what having depression feels like. There's also a beautiful line in the catchy chorus of this song. When I hear your voice, I feel like somebody, which illustrates just how much other people can change your perspective and how you feel. The lyric that is the kicker for this song, though, in my opinion, is "'cause everybody cares, but no one understands." It's another spot-on observation of how when you're sorting out your own pain, there may be a lot of people who want to help, but pain is insidious in that everyone deals with it differently, so it can be nearly impossible to understand exactly how another person is feeling when they're struggling through something. They may say, I understand, but they actually have no idea. At least, that's how it can feel. Anyways, I love this song so much because it says a lot of things I wish I could figure out how to phrase on my own. Fawn in Daylight has one of the catchiest hooks I've heard in a song lately. Since I first heard it, however many months ago, it still pops into my head at the randomest of times and just refuses to leave. Maybe it's because it's a melody that sounds like a buried memory of a famous swing standard, but it's also that the words he puts into it are something that a lot of people can relate to. What makes a mood change overnight? What makes a heart stay fond in daylight? What makes a lover stay? I try, but can't get it right. A lot of us might have been through this, whether from a long-term relationship or a one-night stand. You want to hold on to the one you love, but their feelings might have changed, and it feels like there's nothing we can do about it. He goes on to narrate a story of meeting a girl at the bar, saying, love can't live on alcohol alone, but I'm still gonna take you home. They spend the night together, and she talks about wanting to stay in bed all day and kiss, but then a day or two later she's ignoring him, while he's still crushing on her. Then he reflects on the difference between this one-night stand and past relationships. Cause I miss giving a shit and being with someone I couldn't be without. It goes deeper than having a crush. He wants someone he can be in a loving relationship with for a long time and who cares about him back. It's great to me how he weaves his way from talking about a one-night stand into discussing the deeper relationship he's searching for. And it's what makes the song so endearing to me. The next song features Matthew trying to convince a girl to give him a second chance and a fresh start. He says, you know there's worse things in this world than knowing someone's interesting, which follows a scathing verse about a different friend of his with a big mouth that seemingly let the secret slip. There's nothing like a little self-deprecation, and he does that extremely well in the first verse. See, I don't really need a helping hand at ruining plans, or watching love slip through my hands. By the bridge, he's trying anything to get her to reconsider, and he asks a stream of questions that for whatever reason makes me laugh a little. So tell me what you need. Are you looking for a good man, or are you looking for a one-night stand? Or could you use a little romance? It's a bit of a desperate plea that relates again to the hopeless romantic theme that runs throughout the album. Although, he does sound sincere with the main hook, Amy, I'm sorry. And it makes me hope that maybe she forgave him after all. Here's the sleeper song of the album for me. On the first few listens of this album, this wasn't a standout, but now that I've had the chance to live with it for a few months, I think this actually might be one of my favorites. He does a great job of explaining what it feels like to have a relationship come to an end. The chorus is great because it starts off with, should I say, as if this would be the response to her asking how he's doing after they broke up, if he were to be honest. And it sounds like a pretty awful state of mind. I'm in the basement. My life is a blood-soaked mess. I can't sleep because I can't get you out of my head. Then he continues, I'm not present. It does my head in. Since she's been gone, he feels removed and numb to his life and what's going on around him. It's a heavy statement, that truly explains how it can feel to lose someone you love, especially if they were the ones who left you, which seems to be the case in this song, when he cleverly says, "And sometimes I still try to reason with you, but your picture looks back and she isn't amused." He's gotten to the point where he's even talking to the picture of her he still has. It's a sad portrait of his state of mind, but it's these little specific details he adds into these songs that have made me fall head over heels for this album. This last song seems to continue the story of Not Present. That's another aspect of Pseudocide that I love. He absolutely nailed the track list of this album in the way it ebbs and flows. By the end of it, it almost feels like it was just one massive song with multiple parts, rather than lots of shorter songs, which I think is something really special. Science Fiction just seems like such an honest song to me. He's not pleading anymore. He's given up and is simply remembering the good times and wistfully hoping that he could return to the past with the woman he's still in love with. He's not even looking to restart the relationship anymore. He walks around the harbor hoping to find her there like she used to be. So we could talk and just be friends, and I won't kiss your face again, or make you feel bad about the past. He just wants her there in any form, but in his heart, he knows that won't happen. Even simple things are so hollow without her, as he simply states, "I watch TV and eat alone." It's a sober conclusion to an album that's dusted with bleakness, but one that feels fitting. I can't get over this album. I know that some people will be put off of it by the fact that the instrumentation is sparse, but I truly think that's one of its greatest strengths, because it lets the amazing lyrics shine. Everyone's a little bit of a voyeur at heart, and this feels like reading someone's diary that chronicles a difficult time in their life, but also a period of transformation. I give this album a crying face, in a good way, and a notebook. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you could smash that MFing subscribe button and like the video. It would mean a lot to me. See you later, alligators.